everyone, this is Paul Gale from PaulGaleNetwork.com, and thank you for joining me today for video game news. It is October 7th, 2020, and these are the top stories of the day. To kick things off, this morning we got a nice look at Nintendo Treehouse Live. It was their October 2020 presentation where they showed us Pikmin 3 Deluxe for Nintendo Switch and an extended look at Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Pikmin 3 Deluxe comes out later this month, and Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity comes out November 20th. From Pikmin 3 Deluxe, we learned that it's going to have multiplayer, co-op, which is nice. We also learned that as of today, a demo is available on the eShop for free. You could play it, and the save file gets transferred to the main game itself when you buy it next month. So if you're interested in Pikmin 3, check it out. It's a game that I've mentioned on the channel several times. It's a franchise that gets, not to say shafted, but not as noticed. You know, it's not as big and as popular of a franchise when people think Nintendo games. People usually think, Mario, Pokemon, Zelda, Donkey Kong, Metroid even, Mario Kart, of course, Smash Brothers. There are different tiers of Nintendo games in terms of popularity. But Pikmin's a very good series. The main three entries are all solid. They're good quality. They're different, though. It's a little bit more relaxing. I think Pikmin 3 Deluxe is going to do well on Nintendo Switch because that Animal Crossing audience that's new to the platform, I think, is going to eat this one up. So check out Pikmin 3 Deluxe. You could obviously watch the Nintendo Treehouse Live presentation on YouTube and see the Pikmin 3 footage yourself. But that was my pleasant experience of the morning. And of course, also seeing new Hyrule Warriors footage. Now, this is a 25-minute look at this morning's presentation. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I want to go through little bits of it here and there and show you what it looked like, show you some of the footage. We'll skip around and take a look at Urbosa. It's neat because Urbosa was such a fun character from the backstory that we got of her, at least in Breath of the Wild. Obviously, Urbosa's Fury is a blast to use. Her model, I was a big fan of. Her voice acting was great. Her relationship with Zelda as kind of a strong female powerhouse in those flashback scenes was cool. I like this take on Gerudo Valley. I think it was my favorite since Ocarina of Time. And it's neat because in Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, we're getting this awesome map from Breath of the Wild, just handled differently in this title. But familiar locales, as you can see, she moves fast, her combat's cool, and this is the same area that we explored for many hours in Breath of the Wild, which is really cool. We also learned today that Koroks make an appearance back in the game. As the people in the Treehouse Live presentation showed us, there was a Korok right there in Gerudo Village, and it was really cool. There are certain things that I'm not going to find right now because, like I said, this is a long video and I just want to show you different highlights. So the Korok I may or may not find, but in general, we're getting big bosses, we're getting Molduga. The menus, the way you navigate through them, it looks very similar to Breath of the Wild, so it's going to be a familiar territory for a lot of people. The overworld map, it is Breath of the Wild's map, that beautiful map that on my own YouTube channel I did a breakdown of, and I spent like an hour doing a breakdown of my 200-hour experience that I had through the game, showing the hero's path, the hero's journey. We learned that weapons will not break in this game like they did in Breath of the Wild. But as you can see, the navigation, the listing, the item placement, it's very similar. I like this look. You know, Hyrule Warriors and Fire Emblem Warriors, they had their own look, and that was fine, but I'm enjoying this updated take. Link's got plenty of costumes available. So we're getting weapons. You see that visual change when you're using it, when it's equipped. You're getting the costume effect. Breath of the Wild did that better than any Zelda previously. All of the costumes that Link could wear. Koroks, as I mentioned in the game. Weapons not breaking. Same areas, same overworld map. You know, certain areas look a little different because they are set 100 years in the past. But this is going to be a big one. It's got humor in it too. I dig it. This was a fun presentation to watch this morning. These three women did a good job, you know, during this time of social distancing and whatnot. Now Siri thought I was talking to her. That's funny. During this time of social distancing, you know, it's difficult for companies to put up these types of presentations, but there's always a way. So I'm glad that they haven't stopped. They just had to change the format, the presentation a little bit. Here we had some footage of Impa, and she looks great. She's got a lot of moves, some jutsu. Summons a frog, drops it on her enemies, bounces around like a ninja, because she is a ninja. Quick travel, in and out. You've got these talisman-like objects floating around. Your different characters all have access to a certain amount of movesets, but everyone has unique actions as well. X and Y are primary attacks, A to dodge. Yeah, the game looks great. We also learned that the game will not have online two-player co-op. That's one of the things that I spoke about recently, is that it would be awesome if the game did have 2 to 4 player online co-op at once, but it won't. Could they update it in a patch in the future? Possible, but honestly not likely. So that's kind of unfortunate, but even if at its core it's got 2-player co-op, that's still great. But that's about it from what I'm going to show right now. You'll have to let me know what you think. Did you check out the Pikmin 3 footage? If not, check it out on YouTube. What do you think of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity and what we were shown today? If you want to see more, check it out on YouTube. It's a 25-minute presentation and it's cool. Next up in video game news though today, this is another good one. Seeing some of my stuff that I looked for recently. What do we have there? Some karate, some Pokemon, some Cyberpunk, Dragon Ball, NBA, Luigi's Mansion, PS5. Yeah, that's kind of funny. Next up in video game news is the PlayStation 5 Teardown. Once again, I'm not going to play the whole 7-minute or so video, but I'm going to skip around parts and talk while we're being shown the Teardown. First of all, the system is quite large. We've seen it before. We knew before from looking at the disc tray, looking at USB ports, how big it was, how tall it was, how wide it was, how deep it was, but seeing an actual person, his chest, his torso, the length of his arms, how big it is in relation to his head as he's moving it around, like, man, it's big. You could see that it's, you know, previously set up to be vertical mode, and this is how you put it horizontally. Unscrew its stand. Seal that baby back up. Conveniently close things up. Now snap on the back / the side, its stand, and there you go. The most amount of involvement required yet for a system to go from vertical to horizontal, but hey, it works. Just takes a moment. This part I liked in particular. How relatively simple it is to remove this faceplate. You lift up, you slide out, and there you go. And here we get to see the guts of the system. We get to see the fan, the motherboard, a lot of chips, the liquid cooling, liquid metal. That's a first for a video game home console. You're going to see a big fan. You're going to see a huge heat sink. This explains the majority of the reason for why the system is so large. You know, Sony's making a pretty beefy next-gen console. They want the thing to be quiet. They don't want the thing to overheat. They don't want to have, you know, any problems developing long term, whether it's, you know, 6 months in or 2 years in. Now, time remains to be seen if, you know, something like a yellow light of death or a red ring of death, you know, happens on the PS5 or Xbox Series X or Xbox Series S, but it looks like both Sony and Microsoft took a lot in terms of engineering skill to make sure that those kind of things don't happen. But obviously, when it gets out there and millions of people own it and millions of people are putting in thousands of hours, you know, that's the final test to see what's the percentage of duds, what's the percentage of lemons. We hope that it's low for both consoles, obviously. These things cost a lot of money. But this was a very nice breakdown video. Obviously, this is the PlayStation 5 disc version, as that was the Ultra HD disc drive that he just pulled out. The digital-only version won't have that component. But it's pretty neat seeing how everything is put together and how it's very elegantly capable of being pulled apart. Now, the thing I mentioned that I liked probably the most, I mean, well, aesthetically the most, I guess, the most satisfying was that faceplate removal, because it's been a while since a console had a faceplate that you could remove. It was the original Xbox 360 model, and that was just a thin faceplate that you could pop off and put on, and that was kind of cool. You know, obviously the new Nintendo 3DS, not the new Nintendo 3DS XL, but just the 3DS one, you know, had a removable faceplate. That's nice. But for a home console, you know, it's been a while, right? Since 2004. So I wonder how early in the PlayStation 5's life will Sony offer removable faceplates. Surely they're going to have black, and maybe they'll have a Spider-Man Miles Morales one in time for launch, something that you could buy on the side. $30, here's a faceplate, boom. A Ratchet and Clank one. Third parties, could third parties build their own? It won't be too long before someone unofficially just finds all of the proper schematics and does 3D plastic printing of these and sells them on Etsy or whatever. Well, that's cool too to think of. Liquid metal, that's what I was talking about earlier. That's pretty impressive. It's pretty cool. It's a well put together machine, it seems. Man, look at this stuff. Look at the heatsink. That's elegant. I mean, that might be cooler. Cooler. That's funny. That might be cooler in some ways than the faceplate itself, because this is more important to the machine, despite the faceplate being, visual on the outside, appealing. What could possibly come of it? I wasn't anticipating us watching the whole video together, but these 7 minutes went by pretty quickly, and it was pleasant to watch again. It did say, by the way, at the end, the dust catcher does not guarantee dust not coming in, and that's a fair statement to say. So yeah, let me know what you think of the PlayStation 5 and its breakdown. I think it's pretty impressive. I think it's a nicely put together system, and I'm looking forward to sticking it in my entertainment center. Dang, next month. That's soon. And finally today for Video Game News with Paul Gale Network. The moment I've all been waiting for. Some clarity on Super Nintendo World. It's coming to Osaka, Japan. We've known about this for a while. We've seen the leaked shots seemingly look like they're finished, and now we know it's done. Super Nintendo World was supposed to come out in Osaka, Japan this past July. I was actually going to go there for my birthday at the grand opening. My birthday is July 7th. I assumed that the grand opening was going to be early in July, just before the Olympics. That's all we knew officially. And then pandemic hit, all of that, so it's delayed. But now we know spring 2021, as it says here, early 2021. So we could be looking at a late March, early April at the soonest. That would be pretty cool. But before it officially opens, there is a small restaurant that's going to open up in the main Universal Studios Japan lot. So you'll get to have a little taste, if you will, of Nintendo's theme park without the theme park itself actually being open yet, sooner than it opens, if that made sense. So that's cool. You'll be able to get a little flavor of Nintendo in Japan's Universal Studios in the main park a few months before the Nintendo World itself opens. I had to say that twice, just to make sure that it's clear and went through. But that's exciting news. Now, will I go to the grand opening in Japan next year? I'd like to say yes, because that was my honest intention in 2020. But we'll see where the world's at in 2021 and how healthy the global climate is and stuff. But it would be fantastic to go to at launch, day one, be a part of that hype, and the most hardcore of fans, my brothers and sisters, right there with me, having a wonderful time together. Like going to a midnight premiere of any awesome superhero nerd-oriented film, right? It's a great experience. Well, that's going to do it today for Video Game News with PGN. Thank you for watching. I hope you had a good time. I did. See you all next time. Take it easy. Bye.